Hi, everyone. It's your friendly neighborhood Poot the Bard here. That's right. It's me. It's PTB. Wanted to give you a little heads up on this episode. We had some technical difficulties with Discord. Thanks, Discord. And lost the first 10 minutes of the episode where the guys basically talked about, because I hadn't shown up yet. I know, irresponsible tech that I am. But the guys talked basically about kicking off WrestleMania. They talked a little bit about Cody and everything, but the audio quality was terrible. There was something that went wrong with Discord, so I chopped it away, and we're going to pick up in the middle of the conversation. Don't worry, you'll get acclimated quickly. Take it away, boys.
Wrestling podcasts have more than one royal family.
So I think where we left off after the technical difficulties was, what, Tom's question about who we thought was going to do the what with the who's he what's it's?
Yeah,
I know what it was. No,
okay.
I didn't think The Undertaker was coming out when the lights went out. I didn't think Bray Wyatt either, just because the thought never entered into my head. I completely forgot that Bray Wyatt was a thing and that we had talked about him. I don't know why it didn't pop into my head. It just didn't. When the lights went out, I honestly thought it was a swerve. I was expecting to hear, "Here comes the money."
That would have been the fucking worst thing ever.
I just thought, okay, lights are out. I didn't think Taker. Bray didn't enter into my mind. I really thought, yep, here it comes. Here it comes. Here comes the ultimate ha-ha, laffy-taffy moment from Vince McMahon. He's going to be back there pissing his depends, laughing his butt off. Ha-ha-ha, I swerved everybody, you're a bunch of nerds. But no, Cody Rhodes came out, and I was very happy.
And I think that's why this year's WrestleMania was a success. And I can say that unequivocally. Was it a top 10 WrestleMania? You could make an argument. Was it, top 5? No. Was it good? It was. Was it entertaining? It was. Did I come away feeling regretful that I watched it? Not at all.
No, nope, not a bit.
Probably the best one they've done in at least 5 years, maybe more.
Let me say this. I have never been happier with an end of night one than I was at the end of night one this year. I didn't feel bad in the slightest that somebody didn't go on last, that it wasn't a title last, that it wasn't this, that, or the other thing. Not even a tidbit. I don't care that we didn't get black trunks. Don't care. There was a legit match, and I'll fight anybody who is like, oh, well, was it a real match? But nope, bullshit. Bell rang, 1, 2, 3, bell rang, and it wasn't just ham hock, stunner, beer bash, 1, 2, 3, it's over. This was a legit match. Stone Cold took some legit bumps. Mm-hmm. He took a suplex outside the ring.
On the floor.
He gave a suplex. That's outside the ring. He gave a suplex on the ramp to Kevin Owens. He took bumps. This wasn't just a smackaroonie, it's over. I was disappointed 0% in everything that transpired in that main event. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was magical. I could not have been happier. And I don't think it's a slight to Kevin Owens at all to walk away from that match being pinned by Stone Cold Steve Austin. Doesn't matter how old Steve Austin is. Doesn't matter that he's been 19 years away since his last match. For not having a match in 19 years and for being as old as he was, he looked amazing. And I think that does more for Kevin Owens as a heel than just having a regular match at WrestleMania against a random ass opponent. Because I think Kevin Owens' stock has skyrocketed after that, because not only did you have a match with Stone Cold Steve Austin, You're the last person. And you can put that on your freaking resume. I'm the last person to have a match with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yep.
We had it at WrestleMania. It was the main event of night 1 at WrestleMania, and it was a legit match. We took bumps outside the ring. We took bumps on the ramp. It was fantastic.
It really was refreshing to see that night. First of all, Stone Cold getting treated well, which of course he always does. But my point is, like, he got treated well. The match was anyone who has said online or in anything and said it wasn't a real match. There was nothing not real about it. Like it was all there. It was a lot of fun. It gave me the good feelies, and it was great.
Sorry, go ahead.
Like, how do you hate that? How do you possibly hate on seeing Kevin Owens versus Stone Cold, Stunner versus Stunner? Like, how do you hate that? My favorite part of the whole thing was during the KO show before the match, whenever he was talking to Stone Cold, and Stone Cold just like broke the fourth wall staring at the fucking camera. I don't know why, the look on his face, I laughed so hard.
It's kind of almost fitting that I ended up using the thing in the Discord that I have there. But he kind of did have that kind of old man-esque, like, get off my lawn sort of like look, like, boy, you're dumber than a fucking sack of doorknobs. Like, he looked like just any moment that he could snap off at KO. I thought it was exactly a really good for the fact that he hadn't wrestled in 19 years. I thought it was a perfectly fine, well put together match. Having it be like a street fight where they could, go outside the ring and just throw blows and not have to take as many in-ring bumps. Smart choice on them. And it wasn't too long, and it wasn't a fucking squash fucking, oh, here I am, kick, stunner, beer bath, middle fingers, blah, go home. It was good. It was really good. I was surprised. I was surprised how well it looked for how long he had been away. So I'm really happy that it turned out that way. And I was starting to say earlier, getting back to it, like, you could, there could be some argument, in hindsight, should Becky and Bianca have main evented or not? You could make that argument. I'm not going to say one way or the other. I'm just saying I was happy with night 1 overall, and the fact that it ended on that high note that it did. You sent the fans home happy night 1, and you sent them home, the Texas fans home with Stone Cold. Like, if they knew that they had to have known. Like, if Vince knew that that's how he wanted to end night 1, good on him for doing that. If they would have ended on just a KO show and it would have been, kick, stunner, middle fingers, beer bath, go home, then I probably would have had a little bit more of a problem with them ending it that way. But the fact that we got a legit match out of it, that was stupendous. See,
I'll make the argument, though.
Oh, go ahead.
That Bianca and Becky should not have gone on last.
Okay.
Not compared to what we got. I don't think so.
Well,
because
okay,
I could tell you 100% equivocally what I will take away from this. What?
If it had been just the segment, would you still say that?
No.
Okay, that's why I'm saying.
I would not say that.
I was going to say, being the fact that we got a match, yeah.
What we got, I will make the argument that should have gone on last, because it was exactly what needed to happen at the end of that WrestleMania, and there are years ahead when we hopefully are still doing this stupid little podcast, and we reflect back on past WrestleManias. There are 2 things that I will take away from this WrestleMania that I will not forget, that will have been burned into my memory, and it has nothing to do with Bianca and Becky. Not that their match wasn't good. I thought it was. But that's not what I'm going to remember this WrestleMania for. I'm going to remember this WrestleMania for Cody Rhodes coming back, and I'm going to remember this WrestleMania for Kevin Owens' face when he rolled his eyes when Stone Cold Steve Austin brought that quad out. When he brought that quad out and that camera went onto Kevin Owens' face and he was sitting in that chair and he made that face and rolled his eyes. I don't know. I can't remember the last time I laughed that hard. That was utterly hysterical.
Perfect. And that's why I'm glad that they're finally kind of giving Kevin Owens a platform.
He's a genius.
They're giving it to him because he does this. It doesn't matter who you put him in that ring with. You put him in the ring with Ezekiel, and he will somehow make it fucking entertaining.
Let's talk about that on the next episode, because holy crap, please don't harsh my buzz coming off of this WrestleMania with that shit.
Can I bring up? Go ahead.
I was going to say,
we're not talking about Ezekiel
earlier,
right now. We're not.
With the technical difficulties that we had and everything, which sorry about that, listeners, and to my fellow podcasters, but the thing that I really loved, and obviously Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, Stone Cold, all that. The thing that I loved the most was seeing this new version of Edge. I love it. I think it's phenomenal. It feels
that was good.
It feels like a successor to Gangrel. It feels like this just awesome thing. The music is perfect for it. I just don't like people calling it "If you bought the House of Black at Aldi."
Oh yeah,
that's not what this is going to be. I think it's going to be different. I don't think that's what this is going to be. This, I feel, is a rebranding of Edge, because the new music, the new look, the new way he handles himself, the saunter to the ring. He doesn't, there's no there's no, hands up in the air and fireworks. There's none of that. This is a Chris Jericho style rebrand that Edge hasn't done for a while. Edge has gone from face to heel, back and forth in the past, but he's had the same music. He's had the same come out, same entrance ramp pose, same slide into the ring. Whether or not he was a face or a heel, there have been subtle differences, but this is a complete 180 shift change for him that puts the Edge character in a place that we haven't seen before. I believe this is a whole new character arc for him that is completely different than what we have gotten out of past Edges, probably since he was Brood Edge and then broke off into the 5-second pose, or the whatever that pose Edge was. He went from Brood Edge to that. We haven't seen a shift in his character arc like this in a long time, so this is a very good refresh for him.
A quick note, kind of going back, something I forgot to mention about night one that I was also pleasantly surprised by. Even though he's still a walking pile of human waste and a walking dumpster fire, I will give credit where credit is due and say that Logan Paul had some really, really good in-ring athletic ability, and he, much like Bad Bunny, last year, fucking Logan Paul surprised me, and I love the double turn there. I love the fact that Miz turned on him at the very end. Now I don't know if I didn't watch Raw, but I had heard some things. I had heard about a segment with Edge and with Damian Priest, which we'll get to in the next episode and stuff. And I like Ransom had mentioned about the Cody promo. I don't know if that ended up making Miz an uber face for going over, a real life heel like Logan Paul, or if that, cemented him as a bigger snake in the grass. But we'll get to that on the next episode. But I
think
really
the answer is
enjoyed
yes to both of those.
But I really enjoyed watching that match be put together. I was a little surprised that they didn't have the Mysterios go over. But it is what it is. I got swerved. Whatever.
Beef, what are some of your thoughts on what we've been talking about? You've been uncharacteristically quiet.
Yeah, I think that this is the longest time I've gone without talking on this podcast, and I'm okay with that.
I figured you were just finishing dinner, so.
Nope. I've been done for since I started.
Okay.
No, I mean, and I mean, my original point is still floating out there in cyberspace, but don't worry, I'll get back around to it. Actually, I may as well finish it. So the reason I think that this WrestleMania was so successful is because it delivered on the expectations that we set upon it. Like, we knew that Cody Rhodes was coming. We knew that Bianca Belair should win. We knew that Stone Cold should wrestle. Like, all of those things happened, and like, for once there was no stupid swerve. There was no stupid, like, gotcha. No, like, it said, here's what you have been wanting, and we're like, yes, this is what we want. So
Except for Charlotte and Ronda.
I'll get to those in a minute. But like, in terms, so basically they're doing, and I don't want to make it seem like I didn't enjoy WrestleMania, because I did. I thought it was great. I enjoyed both nights. I thought it was good, and I enjoyed both nights. But we're basically giving them carte blanche for the status quo. We're saying, hey, you did exactly what we expect you to do, and we love it. So that is neither here nor there, I suppose. Where it did not deliver was the main events. Charlotte and Ronda was weird, off kilter, and the wrong person won. Because we know that Charlotte's probably just going to lose at Backlash. And once again, Charlotte Flair wins on the big stage, and the person who needs to win doesn't win. She wins in the B show, because you can't make Charlotte Flair look bad. I hope that she just disappears. I don't want her to go to AEW. I don't want her to be involved with WWE. I just want her gone. I don't care where. I don't care what she does. She could be in fucking movies, modeling, fucking donate her plastic body to fucking science. I don't care. I want her gone, because she has no business in the ring with someone like Ronda Rousey, who's a legit fucking ticket seller. And then you have Charlotte Flair, who there's nothing legit about her. Night 2 main event, Roman and Brock, they kept saying was the biggest main WrestleMania event of all time. They basically just worked finisher the whole fucking match. And I get that that's kind of what Brock and Roman has been, but we know that both of them can go above that. So I don't see a reason why it had to lean so hard into signatures and finishers. That was not the best WrestleMania main event of all time. It wasn't even close.
I heard a report. I don't know if this is where you're going with it, Poot, but they're the pictures that I think somebody had floated in the group chat and had been making their way online. It looked like maybe Roman got injured. So
at the very end of the match,
yeah,
it was due to the Kimura, so it had nothing to do with the match.
Well,
one thing before I go another 10 minutes without talking, I appreciate Steve Austin. I really do, and I'm not going to rain on anybody's parade. I'm not going to yuck anybody's yum. I'm glad that everybody enjoyed it. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a fine match. I thought it was fun. Kevin Owens can wrestle a fucking broom and make it look amazing, so I'm not surprised. But, like, Taker won his last match. Stone Cold won his last match. This is the business where you're supposed to go out on your back. Vince McMahon, in theory, won his last match. Like, at what point did we stop going out on our backs?
Yeah.
Can I ask a serious question? And it might sound jackassy, but I don't mean it to be. This is, in all seriousness, a legit question for you, Beef.
Mm-hmm.
Is Siri, I'm not talking to you. Get away from my life.
Robots are taking over.
Oh, Skynet. Is the whole going out on your back, is that one of those wrestling, whatever you call it, traditions that might be at this juncture a little outdated?
You're suggesting it's antiquated.
Say that again?
You're suggesting it's antiquated.
Antiquated, outdated.
I will say that wrestling has evolved a lot over time. We've seen a lot of different evolutions in wrestling. We've seen wrestling go from, a scoop slam being a big deal to a flying elbow off the top rope being a big deal, to a swanton off a ladder being a big deal, and it just keeps evolving and evolving and evolving. Is the evolution of wrestling gone to the point where we don't need to have the time-honored tradition of going out on your back? Is that one of those things that we can say, look, yes, that was how wrestling worked at one time, but it's pivoted to now, if Stone Cold would have gone out on his back at this juncture here and Kevin Owens would have gone over, would that have been best? That would have been wrestling tradition, but would that have been best?
What it is it's not so much tradition, and I hear what you're saying, and I the notion is kind of antiquated. I think the idea behind it is the principle that you want your current big thing to put over the next big thing. So in reality, I don't think that needs to be a pinfall, or at least not your last pinfall. The Undertaker put over Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 30, and he's gone on to fucking have 2 or 3, 4 or 5 more WrestleMania matches after that he has went over, except for Roman Reigns. So he didn't need to put somebody over in his last match. And honestly, I know I threw this out there in relation to the Austin match, but I really think that Stone Cold winning was the right thing to do. And I think that, Kevin Owens was about as over as you could get. I don't think that him winning that match versus Stone Cold would have benefited him at all.
Right. And like I've said before, and we've said it 1,000 times, and I'll say it again. When it comes to winning and losing a match, it's not about who goes over. It's about getting over. So you can still lose and still get over. Like KO got a huge rub from being in the ring with Stone Cold and having the match that he did. Win or lose, it doesn't matter whose shoulders got pinned to the mat. They both got over, like hands down. And KO benefited so much more. If KO would have won, like that crowd would have been just fucking the crowd. The life would have been sucked out of the crowd. I think he maybe would have gotten some more heat on him or whatever. But moving forward, like, okay, I don't know what he did on Raw now or whatever. Again, we'll get into that in episode 2. But regardless, he can still move forward, without much trouble. Night 2, since we kind of started segueing into that, night 2 didn't feel as stupendous. And I know we're all sick of that word. It didn't feel as big as night 1 did. Night 2 was more fun in a way, like fun and just funny and just kind of a little out there. I know Ransom has already expressed his thoughts on this in the group chat, and I'm going to touch on it. The Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn match. Is it a match that we necessarily needed at WrestleMania? No, not really. The fact that we had it, I see both people's points of view. When we talked about it in the group chat, I'm with you on this one, Beef, where because we got it, and this is like, here's what it is. You're getting this, like there's no way around it. It was
the best. It was the best version of what that could have been.
Exactly, and you had to know that there was going to be fucking the rest of the Jackass crew getting involved. I was pleasantly surprised by seeing Wee Man scoop slam Sami Zayn. I was like, oh god. There was a moment where I was like, he's going to break his neck. And then he didn't, and I'm like, "Oh, thank God, sweet baby Jesus!" Like, I'm so glad Sammy didn't get hurt there. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty much what it needed to be for that particular situation. So, the Edge and AJ Styles match was awesome. the main event felt like it was probably cut by like a good 5 to 10 minutes because they did go off the air a little early. And but my biggest hang up with night 2 was the Austin Theory and Pat McAfee match. Not so much that match itself because it was awesome, but after the fact with the Vince McMahon shenanigans.
Not even shenanigans. Vince McMahon beat Pat McAfee in a WrestleMania match. I'll repeat that for posterity. Vince McMahon defeated Pat McAfee in a WrestleMania match after McAfee and Austin Theory had a tremendous match. I'll say it. They had a really good fucking match.
Yep.
Vince McMahon, being almost 80 years old, fucking sweating through his suit, had no reason or discourse to be in that ring, or at the very least to be in a recognized match. There's no reason that the exact unfoldings couldn't have happened where McMahon and Theory beat down Pat and then Austin comes out and stuns. Like, you could have done that without McMahon putting himself over.
But,
exactly.
Well, but the thing is, McMahon wanted to do it because you had things like Stone Cold and you have the return of Cody Rhodes, and I think he just wanted to be part of the pomp and circumstance. And also, did anyone else see Mick Foley's reaction to the worst stunner ever?
Yep.
No, I didn't.
It was.
Please post it in the Discord for me if you get a chance. Because
fucking gleeful. Seeing a man genuinely belly laugh.
It's so bad that it becomes good at a certain point. Like it's so bad it's funny.
No one has taken more stunners than McMahon. How did he fuck that up?
Well, no, how did McMahon fuck that up? He's 70 million
years old.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
The man is mostly made of dust and creatine. Like, I mean,
he is too.
Like, that's the thing, is that, like, he looked good. Like, he physically looks good. But then you see him do anything, and you can tell that it's
he's
like
80.
It's like someone trying to, like, it's like watching a baby deer learn how to walk. Like, it was. It was just tragic and sad. And this is the danger with doing that one last little thing. You do that one last little thing, you go in there one last time, and you'll either pull it off like Stone Cold did, like Ric Flair did. I still stand by the statement that his last match was against Shawn Michaels. The I'm sorry, I love you match. Like, but then you have McMahon come in and do this, and he looks abysmal. He gave the daintiest little punt of a football ever. Yeah. And then taking that stunner, I was like, there's no way someone could take a worse stunner than Donald Trump. Well, by God, McMahon had to beat him at that too.
Yep. The fact is like, it felt like it dragged on forever. Like, it was so unnecessary. The having the actual bell ring, having it be an official match was unnecessary. Like Beef said, you could have just had, Vince and Theory just fucking beat the shit out of Pat for a while or whatever. Not necessarily nearly as long as all that other shit went on. I will give McMahon credit. Like we said, he likes to, keep us on our toes. He teased getting in the ring and taking the coat off, and then he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. Then he did it, and then no, I'm not. Yeah, okay, I'm actually going to do it. The coat comes off. The build up to it was good, but it went on way too long. But I mean, ultimately at the end of it, we got a bit of a payoff, with Stone Cold and the stunners to all around to everybody. That was great. I got to say, Theory took an amazing stunner, and fucking Pat sold. I'm going to argue this. Pat McAfee sold that stunner as good as or better than whenever The Rock has super sold the stunner. I'm going to say that right there.
Ransom, and the thing is, like, Ransom, you want to talk about belly laughs to people like selling and stuff? The shot of McAfee laying on his back,
drinking the beer.
Drinking his beer.
Oh my God.
Yes. Oh my God.
I want to walk back a previous statement that I made. There are 3 things that I'll remember from this WrestleMania. The Cody debut, KO rolling his eyes, and the camera shot of McAfee after he got stunned and rolled out of the ring. He still had the wherewithal to have a beer with him and to be on the floor, damn near almost feigning unconsciousness, drinking, and not just pouring the beer into his mouth, moving his mouth too, like he was drinking beer. That was, I will always and forever remember that.
That was amazing.
Pat McAfee is another one of those people, just like Kevin Owens. He has the best timing and the best mannerisms. Like, this dude is money, because of all the people that I've ever seen take a stunner and sell the aftermath of a stunner, I've never seen that before. And for Pat McAfee to have the wherewithal to do that, perfect. It was perfect. Everything about that Pat McAfee, everything about his involvement, I was a fan of, except for the actual match with Vince McMahon. That, and I'll echo Beef's statement. Hang on. That was unnecessary. You could have just had the beatdown. The match itself was unnecessary. Looking at what Pat McAfee did in the ring with Austin Theory, and then looking at the god-awful clotheslines that he was taking from Vince McMahon.
It makes it unbelievable.
I know, and I have gotten... Hold on. I have gotten into arguments on this show, off this show, in person, in chat with Beef many, many times. And they've always been on the argument of Beef telling me, this is wrestling. You need to be able to suspend your disbelief. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how you argue that here. After seeing what Pat did, and then seeing the abysmal looking clotheslines that Vince McMahon, he barely would touch Pat McAfee with a clothesline. Because if Pat McAfee would legit run into Vince McMahon's clothesline, he would have knocked McMahon over. Vince McMahon couldn't take a kick to the abdomen to set up a stunner without dropping down to one knee. If Pat McAfee would have legit ran into one of those clotheslines, he would have still been on his feet, and Vince McMahon would have been a pile of dust on the mat. To see him take those clotheslines, I can't suspend my disbelief and not go, oh, this is just horrendous and atrocious, and this is stupid.
Agreed.
I can't suspend my disbelief for that.
I just literally read an article that said that this is a McMahon idea, like him wrestling was a Vince idea, and he's been planning for months. The creative team was like, nope, that's a terrible idea, Vince, don't do it. And people were laughing at him how bad the match was, how bad the stunner was, but he's like, well, people are enjoying it. That's all that matters. It's like, all right, well.
No, we're not laughing with you, Vince. We're laughing at you. There's a difference.
But outside of that, and I can literally, the Charlotte Rousey match was passable. I'm not thrilled with it, but it was okay. The Roman Brock match. The Roman Brock match was not their truest form. I realize that this was 7 years ago, but you look back at what they did at WrestleMania 31, where they got Roman over without Roman winning, where they made Brock look strong and lose. They made Rollins' career. All three guys were made at that match. That was probably the best that I've seen Brock and Roman. And yes, again, I realized it was 7 years ago, but I mean, still, they just weren't there. And so it's disappointing to have those two main events not click. But outside of those little minor flaws, I was very entertained by WrestleMania. I thought it was, I'll say it, very good. I think that there were several memorable matches, which, from the last 5-6 WrestleManias, we haven't had those. Right. So the fact that we have these things in our mind that are going that you can see on the opening slates of WrestleMania in the future, the boyhood dream of Shawn Michaels, the immovable force meet the unstoppable object, those moments could show up on that opening placard of WrestleMania, and I'd be like, yep, that fits.
So I'm going to have a dissenting opinion, and it's not a very big dissenting opinion, but I wasn't disappointed in the Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar match. It was what I envisioned and expected it to be. And I don't know if that had to do with Beef's encouragement not to get my hopes up, or whether or not I've seen just enough Brock Lesnar matches to know, I expected it to be a signature move, finisher move, spot fest, and there were pepperings of other things that happened in that match that I frankly didn't expect to happen. I wasn't blown away by it, but I didn't walk away from that match going, oh, I was expecting it to be more, or, well, it was disappointing because it wasn't this. I expected it to be exactly what it was.
But the problem
I'm not saying they couldn't have done better. I agree with you. They could have done better. And like you said, you harkened back to that triple threat WrestleMania with the Seth Rollins cash-in. They could have done better. I was not expecting better.
But when you bill a match as the biggest WrestleMania match of all time, and we knew that was a farce,
they billed Cena Rock as once in a lifetime, happened twice. They billed one of the Blood Money matches as big as WrestleMania, didn't even watch it. I know that their billings are buzzword bullshit hype, so I don't pay attention to any of that.
Yeah, we could have probably played a drinking game for as many times as they said the most stupendous WrestleMania.
So. Yeah, I mean, for all the times that they've billed something as the biggest, the best, never before seen, once in a lifetime ever, like, okay, no, I don't buy into any of that WWE marketing horseshit anymore. So I wasn't expecting this to be the biggest WrestleMania event in the world ever. It had never be seen again. Nothing will ever top it. Ba-bing, bong, bang. It was what I thought it was going to. It was what I thought it was going to be. I looking back on it, yes, I agree with Beef. It could have been better, but I did not hype it up in my head to be a grandiose spectacle of amazing. Leave my mouth agog nonsense.
Yeah. I will say I was glad to see that the Usos weren't down there and didn't get involved. You had a little bit of involvement with Paul pushing the rope a little bit closer to Roman so he could grab it whenever he was in the submission lock there.
I was fine with the Paul Heyman involvement, I agree. I'm glad that there was no we can't. I'm glad that there was no Uso involvement. That was refreshing to see. Roman didn't walk away with the belt once again, for the 400th time because of the friggin' Usos.
Yeah, I mean, yes, he did heel things. He used the low blow,
Sure.
But you expect that because he's a fucking heel.
Right.
What can
now we can? Now we can.
Now we can.
Oh, we can? I was going to say, can we just take a second and appreciate...
we can when I'm done talking about it.
Can we take a second and appreciate how fucking good Paul Heyman is?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
no doubt in my mind. He never disappoints.
My God. He, like, the yelling, my
tribal
the
chief
head of the table,
win.
like him just saying that stuff to, like, rally Roman. It's the most sniveling fucking heel work, pander. It's so good. And the thing is, it's not like it is Paul Heyman playing a character, but like you look and go, I'll bet you Paul Heyman's like that in real life. Like that's how good he is at that work. And that match, my friend Brandon sent me a message immediately after that. And he was like, that was dumb. And I'm like, for me, yeah, the finisher, suplex, finisher. It's played out, but I know both those guys can work more than that, but like when you have the immovable force against the irresistible, or the irresistible force versus the immovable object, what do you do? I mean, you have to do that kind of stuff. That's the problem, is that they're both at that level where it's like, what are they going to do? A collar elbow tie up? No. Like, it. So Hogan was great? Billed. Is it great? But it told a story.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan was billed as one of the greatest of all time. Nothing he did in the ring would ever knocked anybody's socks off. Ever.
Yeah.
I mean, he's billed as one of the greatest of all time. And his in-ring work was probably some of the most boring shit ever. I think it was exactly what I expected it to be.
fair point. And you're right, because that's actually a really smart callback, because Hogan knew about moments. Like, yeah, Hogan matches aren't gonna knock you off, but like there are so many great moments in Hogan Mania matches. Hogan slamming Andre, like Hogan and the Warrior, like face to face. Hogan and the Rock face to face. Like Hogan knew about moments. He knew how to make moments. Um, I'll never forget when I would talk to my buddy John, who worked in KCW with Kato, and he talked to me about working smarter, not harder. If you can get the adulation of the crowd and get the crowd on their feet with the movement of your facial muscles for the same that somebody else would need to do a fucking Canadian Destroyer for, no contest. You work you got, and you use what you're bringing to the table. So yeah, and to Poot's point, they did tell a good story with the help of Paul Heyman. They knew that it's about moments, and I think that there were good moments there. I just to me, I wish that main event was at a different level. I think if that main event was at a different level, and the Charlotte and Ronda Rousey match was at a different level, I think that this Mania would be even higher on the chopping block, as it were.
Charlotte looked awkward, and I don't know. Maybe I try to block out enough of Charlotte in my head. And I know Beef has talked on the podcast before in the past, not recently, because we all know his disdain for Charlotte Flair. But he talked about her getting better.
She's trying, but man,
she's trying, but she's not the caliber of Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks. They don't look awkward in the ring. They look fluid. They look like everything that they're doing is working fluidly. There are so many times in so many different, even in recent history, so many different times in Charlotte Flair matches where moves she gives looks awkward, bumps she takes look awkward, her mannerisms look awkward, and just to hear her mannish voice, grunting and groaning around, it's just awkward. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
No, you're right.
Could it just be sometimes? Could it not necessarily be how bad she is or not? But could it be just the chemistry? Because we've seen Becky and Charlotte have matches together, and it be awkward. But then we've seen Sasha and Charlotte have matches, and they look awesome. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just the chemistry. Whoever she's in there with, whatever. Like Ronda, I mean, like
I think it has to do with who she's wrestling too. Because I love Becky. Becky is like not all charisma. She's like 75% charisma, 25% wrestling. Sasha's more along like 65-35, 65 wrestling, 35. So I mean, I think that the reason that Sasha and Charlotte look good is because Sasha could carry those matches. I think that Becky and Charlotte, and the other thing with Becky and Charlotte is they have heat. They have like honest to God real life heat.
Yep.
When you have honest to God real life heat, one of two things happen. You either have an incredible match that like you can feel the tension, or it is the drizzling shits.
Yeah.
I've seen enough Charlotte Flair matches to see, even when she's in the ring with people that are good, and it has nothing to do with how good her opponent is. It has nothing to do with how Sasha gives a move or how Sasha takes a move. I still see these awkward moments with Charlotte, and it's all her. It's her mannerisms. It's her delivery of a move. It's her selling of a move. It's a bump that she takes or the way that she moves in the ring. Like, I just think she's awkward. I just think she's awkward. She's not the caliber of other people. And I get
her in-ring ability.
She's
her in-ring ability kind of has had a bell curve. She was really green, and then it's like, oh, okay. We see her do the moonsaults, and we see her do this stuff. And it's like, oh, okay, she can do that. But it's almost like she's getting sick of it. Does that make sense?
Maybe that's it. I don't know.
I don't necessarily think that, because I've seen wrestlers get sick of it before, and their work looks more lackadaisical and lazy, not awkward. I don't know if she's. You know what? I can't say that. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. She's sick of this or sick of that or not in the moment. Maybe it is, and that's what leads to the awkwardness. But I've seen people tank matches before, and they look like they just don't care, or they look like they've given up, or they look like they're not interested. They don't look awkward. But maybe that's her being disinterested lends to her awkwardness in the ring. I don't know. Whatever it is, I echo Beef's statement. I hope she goes away.
I mean, it doesn't help that you have yes, Ronda Rousey may have name power, but her in-ring ability, although I'm sure she's improved from whenever she first got in the ring, it still leaves a lot to be desired. So it doesn't help.
Compared
it
to
doesn't
her
help.
peers.
Yeah, it does.
Better than Charlotte. I think she's better than Charlotte.
No. Okay, listen.
Yes,
I know. Listen,
agree.
I hate.
The only thing
Charlotte as
I'll
much.
say. The only thing I'll say about Rousey is she needs to learn to shut the fuck up and do her job. That's what I can't stand about the Rousey matches, that she's constantly like flapping at the gum. She's always saying something.
Listen,
Like keep your mouth shut and just let your wrestling do the talking.
I can't stand Charlotte being in the spotlight as much as any one of the three of you, but I don't think that Ronda's in-ring ability is better than Charlotte's. I gotta firmly disagree with you on that. And like I said,
She
I'll give
doesn't look
credit.
awkward though.
Like
Oh,
that
absolutely
she was an
does.
MMA fighter, right? Like that
Yeah, I'm
like
aware.
yes, and that MMA is not just stand up fighting; it's also like jujitsu and
I'm
throws and clutches, all of which she incorporates into her moveset brilliantly. I think Ronda is years ahead of where she should be, and I think Charlotte Flair is years behind where she should be.
Well,
I'll echo that statement.
Okay. I don't want to be too sour. But I will say one really, really good point to take away from it, and Beef said it about the Brock and Roman match, is they told a great story, as did many other matches from both nights. But this is something that we always talked about, that they finally fucking follow through on. I'm so happy that they did. Long-term, good storytelling. You had the Brock and Roman story has been going on for 7 years now. It goes back all the way to the heist of the century match. Like it's been going on for a long, long time. The fact that you added the layer of Paul Heyman, when Roman returned, being his counsel or whatever. If you haven't watched the Evil series on Peacock yet, I highly suggest it. I've watched a few, and one of the ones I watched was the one about Roman Reigns, and it was really interesting. I didn't know that when Paul weaseled his way into the business, and that's not an exaggeration, he bullshitted his way into the business. He said to the people that looked after him were Afa and Sika, Roman's actual family. He's like, so I was with Roman's family before Roman was even with his family. And I was like, wow, that adds just that extra layer going, just feeling this long-term storytelling here. And I really, really hope that going forward here after Mania, that they can keep up with that, especially in Roman's angle here. But I hope that they do this with more people, and that we don't just get a lot of short-sighted, quick cash grab fucking bullshit story disconnect that doesn't make sense. Again, I did not watch Monday Night Raw, so I don't know if my prayers are answered or not, but I know that's something that we'll get more into with the second episode.
Speaking of, we're probably at about that time, so be a good time to wrap up the WrestleMania talk. If anybody has anything else that they'd like to add that's pertinent, now is your forum.
No.
Nah, not really. I mean, it was nice to feel a good feeling about WWE, even for 2 nights.
Yes.
It was really good. It was good to watch it and feel like a kid again. It was like to be excited about WWE products. So, but we'll talk more about the fallout after the fact on the next episode. All of our sponsors down in the description, either on the audio or on the YouTube. So you go ahead and check that out and you give us your opinion as well about WrestleMania and things. Thank you for all those sponsors, and we'll give them a bigger burrito at the end of the next episode. Bye. My